Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Dr. Lewis Gates, and I'd like to welcome you here to our Lyceum service. I want to make one announcement, especially the ones online. And here, August 1st, the first Sunday of the month, we are going to have our healing gazebo back open. So there will be healers down in the gazebo in front of the church. Church won't be open yet. We're getting close, very close to be back in there. But the healing gazebo will be open the 1st. So. Hello. All right. I'd like to introduce our Lyceum speaker today. He is a teacher, medium, and a healer here in the organization. I'd like to bring up Reverend Dr. Phil DeLong.
I see my fan club came. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Lyceum. Okay, what I'm going to talk today about is responsibility in life. And responsibilities are something we are born with, and they will follow us all of our lives. To start, we are all charged with two responsibilities that we can never ignore. One is to improve ourselves, and the other one is to strive for balance in our lives. Also, we are responsible for what we take on in life. For the responsibilities we accept as we go along in life. Whatever we set in motion, we are responsible for the scope and nature of the activity that ensues. And we can call this the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect is one of the natural laws of creation that no human can evade. The thing we learn as children is how to handle the responsibilities that we will incur as we go along in life. We are taught to be responsible to the degree that we understand the meaning of the word. Okay? What is responsible? What is right? What is wrong? That's what we are taught as we are children. But we all have free will. Then again, there are times when we choose out of our own free will to take on certain responsibilities, and then later we are sorry we took them on. Okay? Maybe this is about all of our natural laws and spiritual principle number 8, that we have the moral responsibilities and we make our own happiness or unhappiness by following those natural laws, nature's physical and spiritual laws. So, like I said, sometimes we take on responsibilities and we're sorry we did. And that's probably what we call the law of remorse. So it's something that, it's one of those things. I had a situation yesterday that kind of explains a couple of these natural laws. And my daughter moved from Gainesville to Orlando. And my only responsibility that I took on was driving her U-Haul truck from Gainesville to Orlando. And her boyfriend picked it up in the morning, and she'd only scheduled like a 15-foot little U-Haul thing. And fortunately, she got a free upgrade. So now this 15-footer is a 36-footer. So, which is good. She needed all that room. However, it's like the boyfriend, I don't think ever drove anything that big. Okay, now I've driven motorhomes like from 35 feet down to 24. And when he was going into his, what I would call apartment complex, when you go in, there's a tight turn. So it's like this free upgrade turned to be a Trojan horse, because when he made that turn, he didn't look at the back end of it, and then it clipped this concrete pillar that was holding on the sign to the apartment complex and turned it into a pile of rubble. So fortunately, my daughter had the responsibility enough to put insurance on the truck. So, okay, so then you look at my responsibility. A 15-footer's nothing, but driving a 36-footer, it's not a big deal either. It's just traffic nowadays on the freeways is horrible. So, okay. Okay, then sometimes when we accept those responsibilities we don't want, we begin to shirk our responsibilities, and that is not good. We may shoulder a responsibility that later on we can drop without any serious consequence, if we so desire. However, it is the fixed responsibilities that we cannot get away with and we must learn to live with. Oftentimes, we are saddled with responsibilities that we did not ask for, and in most cases, this is karma coming into play. Because there was no desire on our part to take on these responsibilities in the first place, we often rebel, not knowing that this is our karma. First and always, this is a lesson world and a karma world, and the responsibilities become one and the same thing. Now, as a healer, sometimes we take on responsibilities to the person too much, and that is what is called being an empath. So as a healer, we have to set our own boundaries so we don't take on their responsibilities and make it become ours. Okay? Any questions so far? This is supposed to be interactive, so at least that's the way I approach Lyceum. Okay, John.
So when you're healing someone, you don't think of them as they're going to give you a disease or something, right?
No.
That's not what you're talking about, right?
Well, no, but some people do take on the diseases of the other person, but typically most of the healings and diseases come from the emotional field. And the healer's got to take on that boundary so that they don't take on their drama or trauma.
That would be terrible if a healer is trying to help someone and they get the disease or the malady that the person has in front of them. That would be ridiculous. That would be
That happens.
That can't happen.
Well, that's why you have your boundaries, you have your protection around you. So, and basically, everybody, as a healer, we all have love and compassion for the people that we are helping. It's the empathy part, that's where we give to our guides or to infinite intelligence.
Yeah.
Yes, Judy?
As a healer, though, you're taught that you're not doing the healing. You're bringing the energies down from the universe. And as a healer, you learn to be a sort of a conduit that the healing goes through you and to them. And that's why it's so important before you start any healing to bring that energy of protection, and after you do the healing you bring an energy in of cleansing, that you push any of the negative energy that might be around that individual. You push it away. You don't accept it if you're a trained healer. Does that explain it a little bit better for you, John?
Yeah, it makes sense now. So then, where did the disease go? Where'd the malady go? I don't understand.
Well, that's what the God force healing energy, or the healing energy from infinite intelligence, is going to where it is needed to go, to their divine template per se, and that would work on them spiritually, physically, emotionally, and mentally, and take care of that and releasing any discord or discomfort of that person and disease.
I'm guessing that if you believe in forgiveness of sins and stuff like that, I always just think, well, where do they go? You know, because to me, sin or malady or sickness, they're real things.
Yeah,
You
and
never touch them, but they're real things because they affect us in a real manner. So they have to go somewhere. I always get perplexed. I always get, all makes sense. Where does it go?
well, it does. If the healing energy is come through to the person, if he has the faith to accept it, then it's a curative force. If he has to have the faith, that's why our spiritual prayer, or prayer for spiritual healing, says, and I will do my part. Now, if you got lung cancer and a third of your lung chopped off, you're not going to go back to smoking. You're not doing your part. Okay? And part of this responsibilities is the law of karma, which I talked about. And I have a personal experience with that. And that's my brother. We were in business together, and he did some inappropriate things at the direction of our boss and misappropriated some money, I might say. And, he never took on the responsibility to do so. But he was a treasurer. He wrote the checks, right? So there's some responsibility there. So I forgave him for that. And he never accepted my forgiveness for that. And that's part of the law of forgiveness that you talked about. And unfortunately, about 5 years later, he got rectal cancer. And that's what I would call instant karma. I mean, if you don't accept the forgiveness, you're going to double your karma. Okay? And I didn't find out till he even had rectal cancer till 2 years after he was cancer-free. And it's part of, I will contact him, but the other way. It's a one-way street, unfortunately. But it's the forgiveness. Nobody can hold unforgiveness in your heart. That is going to cause disease. But getting back to my brother being Aesop fable type person, the moral of the story, if you act like an a-hole, you might get the consequences. So, I'm sorry. But that's just a teaching point, okay? So many times when we are on the other side in the spirit realm and we are planning our next life here, we do take on a greater load than we should, and oftentimes we can't carry the load. So we leave this life at an early age unless we're very strong. Okay, so that's kind of like the soul contract. Sometimes we take on the responsibility of caring for an elderly parent, which at the time seems to be a heavy burden. Yet later on the parent is gone, then we feel happy that we did so, and to make them happy in their last days here. And the thing of it is we create our own happiness or unhappiness through our natural laws and spiritual laws. So that's our responsibility, should make us happy. And another going beyond happiness is fulfillment. we should feel our heart glowing. And we all get that sense when we know that we have done a fine job. Often a child will say to a parent, "I did not ask to be born." All right, anybody have any of these? Yeah. Which is a very incorrect statement, because they were asked to be born. It was their greatest desire to be born, or they wouldn't have been here. To help make a parent happy and uncomfortable in their old ages is karma. They cared for us when we were helpless and oftentimes sick, and now, quite often, it's our time to help them. When a couple decides to have children, they accept an 18-year-old responsibility that they should never renege on. And I think that 18 is maybe a sliding scale in today's world. So, they have the responsibility of giving that child the best care and the guidance possibly when they are growing up and beyond. Responsibilities come in many forms and in many degrees, such as sole responsibilities, joint responsibilities, group responsibilities, and one person can be involved in all three at the same time. Some people, however, take to and accept responsibilities, while others will run when the word is mentioned. All right, and this happens in a lot of groups too. I mean, I worked at a university, and there's a lot of people. These are good ideas, but you do it, right? Okay, this in turn depends on whether they have a strong nervous system. If they have a weak nervous system, they cannot face hard responsibilities, no matter how hard they try. So their responsibility in life is to gain a stronger nervous system and not to weaken it still more in this life. Meditation, especially transcendental meditation, will help these people strengthen their nervous system. The mistake in life is asking a person with a weak nervous system to shoulder too much a responsibility because they are simply not equipped to do so. Even if they are willing to do so, they cannot handle the load, and when you most need them, they are nowhere to be found. Sometimes we expect too much out of people, and when we do, we are often in for a big disappointment. Generally speaking, a strong person believes others, or should be, just as strong as they are, and in reality, it ain't the case, folks. All right? We're here to help people up. All right? We're either helping them to awaken spiritually, or we're here helping them emotionally. Okay? Strength gravitates to strength and weakness to weakness. And simply speaking, this is the law of attraction. It is, however, the strong that should help the weak to become stronger and not make the weak weaker by forcing them beyond their capability. So when I was working at a university, one of the things is we should empower people, all right? And we should delegate part of our responsibilities onto them. But you have to look at these people and what they are capable of and not delegate something they can't handle. The Bible says, "The meek shall inherit the earth," but the weak will never inherit the earth or much else. The projection should be to become stronger And the way to do this is to take on certain responsibilities, but not too much at any one time, and one will go stronger with time, consideration, and effort. A weak person being around strong persons tends to become stronger by association and admiration. Another thing, strong people who take on given responsibilities have a way of being successful in what they do, while the weak deal mostly in failure. It has been said that there are no great men. There are simply men who thrust into a given situation at a great time of need, lived up to the responsibility placed on them, and they carried it on through to success. And as John Lennon would say, it's, how do you put it? Beyond any successful man is a great woman. All right, so we got to remember that too. Generally, those in the mode of ignorance neither feel nor have a sense of responsibility. They merely roll along in life looking for help from any source available and do so with very little sense of pride or self-maintenance. Okay. We look at these people. What is one of our first two responsibilities when we come into our lives? To improve ourselves. So those who are ignorant of this and we see this through our government unemployment checks is a great, more or less, example at this time. They're getting paid more money to sit and do nothing than to improve themselves. All right? We have to look at what is the response. Yes, ma'am.
That explains why I lost my job in February and unemployment still has paid me nothing. Maybe I need to improve myself and then I'll get all that money eventually.
You will. Yes, Dennis.
Well, Phil, could we assume maybe folks are going to college or doing some other things to improve themselves? We don't necessarily think they're sitting home.
Yeah, that
They
is
could be
correct.
improving themselves.
Yeah.
Taking that opportunity to get a more education as opposed to a low-paying job, and they're trying to improve themselves.
Yeah, but they're trying to improve
Yeah.
themselves.
I mean, they
I'm
could-
talking about, what we've
Yeah.
had through the
Yeah.
last COVID year or something. And I know people who do this, and they're
Yeah.
driving their parents crazy because they're living there and collecting the
I mean,
check.
we could give them the benefit of the doubt too.
Yeah,
That they
we,
might be doing something.
we're always supposed to give people the
Right.
benefit of the
Right.
doubt. But we don't want to be run over either.
No, I
So,
understand.
yeah, okay. Okay, so those in the mode of passion very often desire to take on responsibilities of the world. They are very active and intense in regard to what they do, and usually too much. So we have to be careful of what we take on and how it affects our physical body, because usually these people pass on in their middle ages.
What's the middle age? 50?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'd say anywhere from 50 to 70. So,
Cody, the middle age with every year gets further and further.
Right.
yeah, it does.
Corey.
Corey, yep, that's a sliding scale too. So, thank you. So only the good die young, right? They do too much. Then go ahead, John.
You can't mix up welfare with unemployment. Unemployment you put in for it. You have to work a lot of months to have unemployment waiting for you in the bad weather, like up in New York. Say
Yeah,
January,
yeah.
February, I couldn't work because it's outdoor work. And I would go on unemployment every year. But if I didn't put the other 8 months in, there wouldn't be unemployment waiting for me. It's not welfare.
Well, I understand that. I'm just,
You learn that, that's just.
it's been,
Welfare is a different thing.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I knew people who were bigger and stronger and better athletes than I am, who would lay on welfare as much as possible because they were getting over and that was their thing. They loved getting over. But that's their bad. I never was that type of person. I always worked and you know, if I didn't work, I got a big boot in my butt from my father and got out there and worked. But that's just the way my house was. But I know a lot of people who did use the system and I didn't like it. And that's just the way they lived and after a while I could keep a rats behind, you know what I mean? But it was hard sometimes to swallow that type of stuff. But welfare and unemployment are 2 different things.
oh, I know that. So,
Alright.
okay. It's, I'm not gonna go there.
Dale,
Yes? Oops.
would you say that, because you were saying the weak people deal in failure, does that mean that it's like the poverty mindset versus the strong people that stay in an abundance mindset?
I don't really say that, you know, they're on the poverty level or anything like
No,
that.
but
But I would say it's a poverty consciousness.
Right.
Okay,
So
they don't see any way to get above that, but they have the help there if they have the desire to do so. Does that answer your question?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there are those in the mode of goodness who are usually on the path of spirituality. They have a deep concern about humanity, but they understand reincarnation and karma. They lend their help where they are able to help and leave alone what they have no control over. They thoroughly understand their responsibilities and they live up to them, realizing that their principal responsibility is to gain as much spiritual development in this life and by their light be a guide to others who seek guidance. Okay? So it's spiritually, you should know what responsibilities to take on and what not to take on. And no is a complete sentence. All right? We got to remember this one. Okay, so these spiritual people do not rush out and try to save the world because they are only too aware that many people haven't the consciousness to be saved. They know that humans are like children. They must grow into the responsibility and to the awareness of the goal of life. Most people in the world wish to be happy, but they do not yet realize that there is a direct pursuit of happiness that does not produce happiness. Happiness and fulfillment come as a byproduct of the selfless service and not from selfish motivation for personal gain and personal happiness at the expense of others. All right, we've all seen this with the ego and getting your help, your happiness through self-motivation and personal gain. I mean, I've worked at a university, folks, so it's people will step on people and make that climb. And they're going to get some karma associated with that as well. The final great responsibility we all have is to find the path of freedom and liberation, and once initiated onto the path, to stay faithful to the practice and reach the goal of life as soon as we are able. Okay, so spiritually, we are here to grow. And that when we help people of service, then we will grow spiritually. And our responsibilities will grow as well. It will help other people meet their responsibilities. In closing, we should accept our responsibilities and not skirt them. Ages ago, we took on the responsibility for human evolution, the responsibility for our actions, our speech, and our thoughts. Okay, so everything we think of, everything we put into action, we are responsible. That law of cause and effect. And we have to take responsibility for our actions. A lot of people don't take responsibilities for that. It's like I was talking about this U-Haul truck yesterday, and my daughter's boyfriend made that turn. He didn't think he hit it. It was just like a little bump in the road. But he says, no, it couldn't have happened, but it did. He did take responsibility, but at first he was in denial. And a lot of people are in denial.
I've hit stuff in a U-Haul truck before. It really doesn't feel like much when you're driving it.
Yeah.
Just in defense.
No, you,
I almost took off the side of a house one time.
I know. Yeah, I was driving one of my motorhomes, and I had to go through like a bank parking lot. And so when I'm making the corner, I think I took off some of their eaves, but it happens. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Oh, like, okay. When a tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear it? Okay, it's like it's one of those things. So.
Oh, if nobody's there, you can drive away?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. But many people do that too. So. Okay, and when we are coming down to the close of our human life on this earth, where we may lay down our responsibilities and hear infinite intelligence say, well done, you may now come home and go no more out. You have faced the responsibilities and you have fully matured, and now you are one with me for eternity. Okay, so life is all about growth, and growth is about the responsibilities that we take on. But remember, the two main responsibilities throughout life is to improve ourselves, one, and two, to strive for balance in our lives. Okay, any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
If a soul has chosen to come back and help others get better, does that mean they've taken on extra responsibility intentionally? That they have to also work through to come back?
Yeah, I know what you're saying there, but
when they got to the point where they could be part of eternity, like for eternity, be ascended, then and then they come back. That's what I meant.
it's one of the things, and one of the mediums here was Dr. Thomas. He was one of my mentors, and he would say the one thing to burn off your karma in this life from past lives, and the ones that you've even created in this life, is service, service, service. So when a soul comes in for service, then that's what he's doing, is burning off part of the responsibilities. And I don't want to get into the Ascended Master teachings, but here's an example. In these teachings, there's Ascended Master Hilarion, who was a saint on Crete, and he was a hermit, but people would come to him and for healings. He wouldn't go out and actually perform the healing in public places. They would come to him. So it was that service of healing that became, got him to an ascended master. But the lifetime before that he was Hilarion was St. Paul the Apostle. And before St. Paul joined Christianity, he is a Roman soldier, like persecuting the Christians. So, and that's so as Hilarion, he had to burn off that part of the karma of St. Paul, or Saul of Tarsus. All right, does that kind of explain that?
Yeah.
In spiritualism, we don't believe in incarnation, right?
Wrong.
Right, we do now?
No, it's open. It's
Okay.
open to your own belief. It is
Okay.
a nay or yay. It's open to your own experience.
Okay. Thank you. I've heard it otherwise, so now it's okay. I'm on the correct path
My
then.
understanding is it's not
All right.
addressed in spiritualism one way or the other. It's not really talked about in spiritualism. It's up to the own, your own.
Okay.
What I had always.
National, go ahead.
Spiritualism, like national, do not believe in reincarnation at all. A lot of churches don't. It's up to the church and the individual, the person to actually go in that direction. But as spiritualists, they do not believe in reincarnation.
Well, National, about 10 years ago, took a vote on all the churches, all the spiritual churches, and they voted to leave it up to each individual organization, spiritualist organization, whether they wanted to believe in, wanted to even talk about the ability for reincarnation. And through these years, it's gotten stronger and stronger in spiritual churches. You will hear that in a lot of spiritual churches now. You will hear workshops given on reincarnation in spiritual churches now.
Okay, we will go to this. Declaration of Principles. And maybe this is how I view reincarnation. It's principle number 4. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. So then when we look at our spirit, then when infinite intelligence created our spirit, it's like a star in the universe. So we can consider ourselves as a star. And if that star is like a diamond shape, okay, diamond has lots of facets on it, then one facet from that spirit coming down is in the now, it is me, Philip DeLong. And then in the past, one of those facets on the same spirit could have been Paul Revere, right? Because I'm attracted to copper, and he was a coppersmith. So, all right, and then a future, say, facet could be the next Dalai Lama. Okay, I got to think big. So, yes,
So
Jamie.
we do have a comment or a question online, and it says, for clarity, pursuit of personal happiness, however that may be, is acceptable as long as the person doesn't take advantage of others. Must quality happiness be obtained only through service to others?
I would say yes on that. And that happiness, because you're looking at the goodness of your heart at this time and how you serve people. And when you get that happiness or fulfillment in your heart, that brings joy to yourself. And that kind of perpetuates. It's like the snowball going downhill, becoming bigger and bigger. Yes.
I think it's fun to see when a baby's born, they look just like so-and-so, like dad or mom, or aunt so-and-so. And then as you watch the child grow up, they start acting like the aunt so-and-so, and they take on that stuff, and the child does not even know anything about this aunt or this relative. And that, to me, I mean, you don't have to tell me anything, that proves to me, yeah, they come back. They come back. For whatever reason.
Yeah, I agree with that. So,
Karmic debt, where would that come from?
pardon?
So karmic debt, is that just something, I mean, that
Yeah, it has to do in whatever you would call that soul family.
like I would like to have some type of explanation, like we sign a contract and then it's like we are completely, it's the born identity. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. You just supposedly, sign the contract and forgets everything. I'm not even sure what's wrong with this, but I would like to feel that there is some type of reasoning for the mess, like
Yeah.
there's something, that's my personal opinion.
Well,
Like,
there's
I
a
hope to think that I just wasn't given that, just as a new, what I'm saying.
well,
I'd feel
it
better if I had to come.
yeah. I mean, it all goes down to free will too. We create our own happiness or unhappiness. But when we have our soul contract and we come in, then that contract, we picked our parents. Our parents more or less picked our religion, picked our education, and then there's a lot of control factors in there, how we finally take on our responsibilities and go from there. So there's a lot of stuff coming in from the mental and the emotional world to more or less relate to our responsibilities. But that's where free will comes in.
Phil,
Yes?
to go along with what he's saying there, I look at when we come back, it's like what the universe is doing is teaching us. It's like having a baby and they're learning to walk. How many times does that baby have to fall before it learns to walk? And that's our learning process. We have to make those mistakes to understand what our purpose is in this life. It isn't a baby doesn't come back out and you just set them down and they're running all over. Though it might seem like that, but it isn't that way. So the baby has to fall on their tush a few times to learn the ability to walk, and that's what we do in this life. You're welcome. Right.
Okay, so just to conclude this, I got a shout out at one of our internet people, that's Dickie Joe Mullen, because my daughter, where she moved into Orlando, is like 1.5 miles from her house. So I did visit her last night. So just want to say hello. She's doing good. All right. Thank you. And thanks for watching, internet viewers.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Boy, I like this group. On behalf of the pastors and our board of trustees, we want to welcome you to the Andrew Jackson Davis Educational Building for our Sunday service. Now, at this time, if you're fully vaccinated, you do not have to wear a mask. But I want to remind you that we do not allow personal recordings or videos during this service. Also, please turn off your cell phones, and I'm so glad we don't have to say pagers anymore. We used to have to say pagers. Okay, to begin our service, Mandy will light 3 candles symbolizing the unity of body, mind, and spirit. Thank you, Mandy. There you go. This is always the most challenging part of the service. These clickers have a mind of their own. Thank you so very much. At this time, I'd like you to rise, please, if you're able, for our invocation. Infinite Spirit, we just want to thank you for the opportunity to gather together and to share the wisdom of the universe with each other. We ask you to open our hearts. We ask you to guide our lecturer. And it's in the name of truth we pray. Amen. And you may be seated. Thank you. Okay, to start off, in your bulletin, in the back of the bulletin, you will see our Declaration of Principles. If you join with me to read these, and any of you that's been at these services before, that we need you to say these in a way that you believe them, just not recite them. You need to say them with determination. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomenon of pleasure, both physical and spiritual, are expressions of infinite intelligence. We affirm that the correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of an individual continue after the change called death. We affirm that the communication with the so-called dead is scientifically proven by the phenomenon of spiritualism. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the golden rule: whatsoever ye would that others should do unto you, do ye also unto them. We affirm that the responsibility of the individual, and that he makes his own happiness or unhappiness as they obey or disobey the spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any human soul, here or hereafter. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing contained in the Bible are divine attributes proven through the mediumship. Okay. Did you need something?
No, I just turned the mic up so you're awful soft. You're soft and cuddly.
If any of you know me, that is not really who I am. Okay. To continue, we're going to go into the healing prayer, which is also in your bulletin. Again, if you'll join me with this, please. I ask this great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help, and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and the power of God. Okay, at this time, any of you that would wish to receive spiritual healing, you can go to the next healer available over here on this side. And as the healers are doing their healing, please join with me in the meditation, the healing meditation. To begin with, it's important for you to get in a comfortable position. whichever way you're most comfortable, hands up, hands down, feet flat on the floor, whichever way you're comfortable. We're going to take 3 deep breaths. And join with me in relaxing. Feel your shoulders relax. You might want to move them a little bit, your neck. Just relax in this moment. Everything is made up of energy, and even our bodies are made up of energies. And these energies in our body have memories. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a little walk down the memories through our body. And what I would like you to do is I want you to concentrate and send energies to these areas. And as you send to these areas, I want you to bring the memory out of these areas of when these areas of your body were healthy, happy, fully functioning. We're going to release that memory, and that's going to send us into a healing energy for those areas. We're going to start with our feet. Concentrate on our feet. Visualize our feet. Visualize all the muscles, all the nerves. Visualize that. Now visualize when you had no pain in your feet. Visualize when you were able to run without any problems, without any pain. Visualize that. Some of us might have to go back to our youth to find that energy, but go back and find that energy. Take a couple of breaths and go back there and find that energy where your feet were just as healthy as can be. Be aware now that you're feeling a little bit of a tingling in those feet. Now we're going to move up a little bit, and we're going to move into our knee area. Send that energy there. That healing memory energy should be coming aware in your knees. Send that energy in a circle all around your knees, to the front part of your knees, the back part of your knees. Feel that energy. Feel that memory coming back of when you could walk upstairs without holding on, where you could get up from a chair without having to brace yourself. You have no pain in this area of your knees. Breathe deep, breathe deep. Bring that energy back. Visualize yourself maybe playing on a monkey bar, hanging by your knees. What joy it was and what strength you had in that part of your body. Visualize that. Stay there a moment, feeling that energies. Feel that warmth through your knees. Now visualize going up a little bit further into your thighs, into your hips. Go back and pull that memory of youth, how strong those thigh muscles were, how they could endure those long walks or those lovely bicycle rides. Remember that. Pull that healing memory back to the forefront of your mind and body. feel it in the top of your thighs. Feel strong through those thighs. Then go into the hip area, those joints, those hip joints. Again, reach back, and pull out that memory of healthy hip joints, movable, without any pain, without any restriction in those hip areas. As you're feeling this, you almost want to laugh out loud because you can feel the warmth. You can feel that healing energy. You feel it. It penetrates that whole area of your hip joints. It makes you want to get back on a bike and ride again, being able to move those hips in a painless manner. Bring that memory of healthy joint back to the forefront. Now as you move up, you move into your stomach area, your intestinal area. You pull back that memory that you had as a child where you could eat about anything you wanted without reoccurrence of anything physical hampering the joy you had with eating whatever it was your favorite, from cotton candy to hot dogs. Feel that healing energy through that stomach, intestinal area. And as you pull that energy up through that area, I want you to visualize a very clear white energy all around that area, releasing any of the energies that might be inhibiting your comfort in that area. Visualize it in your stomach, in your intestines. Visualize it. That energy, that healing youth type of energy all through that part of your body. Now you're going up to your chest area. You visualize your heart. You visualize your lungs. You pull that memory to the forefront of healthy heart beating with a strength and a confidence that you had in youth. You pull that energy into your lungs where you could walk or run without having shortness of breath. You feel that air going all the way down through your lungs, filling your lungs with clean, healthy, healing energy and air. Again, with this feeling, you want to bring a smile to your face because that memory is real to you. That healing energy memory is real to you. Stay there a moment. Enjoy it. Claim it.